Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Ezra, and I have just finished recording the Zach Sang Show. It was a lot of fun. We went in depth. We went deep. We went scuba dive deep, my friend. And I think you're going to love it. I hope you're well. See you soon.
Let's do this. Zach Sang Show.
We got Dan.
Hey.
We got me. And we welcome to the studio, Mr. George Ezra.
Yes.
Hey.
Woo! You were nominated for 3 Brit Awards, dude.
I know. And do you know what? I kind of found out a little bit before everyone else and then kind of just completely forgot. And then friends text me when it came out going, dude, 3 Brits. I was like, oh, yeah, this is amazing, you know?
I mean, it's a huge thing, and it's a big message because you got 4 nominations in 2015 around the first album.
Yeah.
And now to have an additional 3,
Yeah.
Is this like a validating thing for you?
I think it's very flattering. I don't think it's validating. I think it's more just flattering, and it kind of it's just such a nice thing to be a part of, because when you're in the room, it's all of your peers, it's all of the contemporaries, there's some legends there, and it's a very surreal thing to be invited to be a part of. And last year I went, having not released music, and I wasn't nominated for anything. I just got to go as a guest.
Is that weird?
Yeah, it was more just. It was more sort of, I wasn't drinking, and the room, they're just so drunk, and you're seeing all these people on paper you respect, and then you're like, oh God, am I this bad when I drink? No, but it was
Reevaluate
nice.
everything.
The nice thing to going along when you're not involved is essentially you're just going out for a nice dinner, because, you know, they give you some food while you're there. I got to wear a suit, which was nice, and I didn't have any of the anxiety of either performing or being nominated for anything.
But while you're there, how far along are you with staying at Tamara's?
Well, when we get there.
When you were there last year, how completed was the album?
The album was finished, it just wasn't out yet. So I think the album came out like literally a month after the Brits last year. So I think I had a song about to come out, or a song that was just out. But it was like the dawn of everything kicking off again.
Pretty cool to sit there, right?
Yeah,
knowing that you could be there the next year with some nominations.
Yeah.
Well, tell me the story about how this album came to be. It's crazy that you lived with a stranger. Like, what
Yeah, so... Oh, good, we're allowed to swear.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
no,
cool.
Actually, no, that is
okay,
not
good.
true. We are not allowed to curse.
Okay,
Oh.
just be...
What the are you doing?
I'm sorry. Just be relaxed.
So I was in a fortunate position. I had this month off. And I find it really helps me when I'm able to go and see something new, meet some new people, and get inspired instead of being at home. When you're at home, you're kind of used to everything going on around you.
But new experiences, new stories.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of, when I do these trips, on the first album, I traveled around Europe by train for a month, and I just kept the journal, every day I kept the journal. And then when I got home, that's when I wrote the songs. And for this one, I went to Barcelona, and instead of staying in a hotel, I found this stranger on the internet that was just renting out their spare room. And so I did it, and I kind
Talk about new.
Yeah, I kind of thought to myself, well, if they're crazy, you know, if my host is unhinged, I can always just leave. And it was the best thing I could have done. My host was a girl called Tamara, and Tamara and her friends, they were musicians and artists, designers, journalists, and they worked Monday to Friday. So I didn't even really see them that much. It was just amazing. Having the key to this place meant that I was able to live in this city for a month.
So do they know you?
No, so there was one night where me and Tamara we were having a few glasses of red wine and sharing some music, and she said, oh, you've got a guitar, do you play at all? And then I was like, do I tell her? You know, because I was quite liking the anonymity, I was liking, you know. And so I said, oh, if you type in George Ezra on Spotify, and at that point, a song of mine, Budapest, had over 400 million plays, and she looked at me like, what are you doing here? You know, why are you in my apartment? Yeah, but she was cool. It was an amazing time to be there. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Did you miss that feeling of anonymity and mystery?
I do miss it sometimes. Or it's not that I miss it, but I just, when I am aware. So the reason I chose Barcelona is because whilst it's somewhere I love, I've never really gigged there. I don't really have a fan base there.
Nobody knows you.
Yeah, so I can just walk around and it's fine. And I do, it's not that I miss it, but I do certainly appreciate it when I realise I'm experiencing it. It's like, oh, this is brilliant, you know?
Is it because you can live life normally, so it's better for inspiration?
It's not that it's not normal when you're in a place that you are known, say. Because even if, a whole city doesn't know you.
Not everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's more just that, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you just relax a little bit more. You don't have to think about it. Every time I walk out of my place in London, I forget that people might recognise me. And then someone's like, "Oh, George, how are you?" I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you. And then all of a sudden you're like, am I okay? I'm not behaving weirdly, am I? Are people looking at me weird?
You become aware of every action.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how much of the album is actually written at her house?
None. So what I did, again, I kept the journal. Like every day I'm walking around and just taking a note of everything I was doing. And then when I get home, that's when I write the songs.
What are you jotting down? Is it lyrics? Is it...
Yeah, it does. Like, as a start, at the beginning of the day, it is just a diary entry. Today, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what I'm currently doing, sat in a cafe, and then I'll write down what it is I can see outside. And there's always something when you're people watching, take a note of that guy, oh my God, look at her, that kind of thing. And then every now and then I drift into like a bit of fiction where you just start writing nonsense, and then sometimes a lyric will come in and there'll be verses in the book as well. So it's this real... I mean, it probably looks like the ramblings of a madman if anyone else read through it, but to me it kind of makes sense when I read back through it.
So are you the only person writing these records?
What, in this nature?
Yeah.
Or am I writing with somebody else?
I mean, do you bring in a co-writer eventually?
Yeah. So when I get home, I write with a friend of mine. His name's Joel. And what I'll do is when I get home, I'll pop the diary in a jiffy bag and I'll post it to him and I let him read it. And he's the only person I would allow to read it, and he'll kind of highlight bits or take notes of bits that stand out to him. And it might be one word, 2 words, a whole verse or whatever. And then when we're together, we write songs together. And then I'll read back through the journal then, and it's all, I forget all of it, and it's all new to me as well.
Wow. So he decodes your madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you reread it once it's fresh.
Yeah.
How did this guy become the trusted reader of your journal?
It's funny, man, because a lot of people in music today, collaborating and writing with other people is very common. What isn't so common, I don't think, is to have someone like I do with Joel, where it's your guy, your partner, as it were. I think a lot of people do... Okay, I'm writing at the moment, and they'll do 4 sessions a week, each with a different person. And that's brilliant. That can be amazing because you're on your toes. It's new people. It's like, But what me and Joel have that I guess those people don't have is like a level of trust and friendship where we can be completely honest with each other. And it means I would assume that the songs are that bit more honest.
Because you understand each other on a deeper level. It's more than just a few hours in the studio.
Exactly, and I trust him, man. So it's kind of the reason collaborating on anything is so beneficial is because you're put in a position where there's someone else in the room that can tell you when you're going wrong, and to have someone that can be annoying when it's someone you don't really know. If you're doing something and someone you don't really know is like, that's not good, you look at them like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Whereas when it's Joel, it's like, okay, cool, he's got my best interest.
Every time.
Yeah, and he knows when I'm performing my best and when I'm not.
That's a really beautiful thing to have with someone.
I think so.
It's really special when you say it like that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the biggest difference between Staying at Tamara's and Wanted on Voyage?
I think, so mainly when I was recording Wanted on Voyage, which was the first album, I didn't even think anyone was going to hear it. You're just this kid in the studio having fun. And you can't put any pressure on it because your audience is small, You're related to most of them. It's like, it's just friends and family just supporting you. And then the difference going in to record the second album is, by that point I had toured and I had played on some of the biggest festival stages and played theatres, beautiful theatres, played with a 4-piece band. Now I play with a 7-piece band, and you're aware of what you like to do live. And the thing that I loved the most was just giving people in the audience an opportunity to kind of escape and kind of switch off from the outside world and just have fun. And going into the second album, knowing that you can do that, it makes it even more fun to produce the songs because you know what you're trying to create.
One of the questions I had is how much fun is this new album to play live? Because it seems like it's so much fun.
It's like, it just kicks off, and not in like a kind of like EDM way. It's not like it goes mad in that sense, but it just, you can tell that people let go of something and just enjoy themselves. And I always say to myself and to the band, people in the audience can't relax unless we're relaxed. You know, if we're on stage and we're all uptight, and that will feed through the venue. So we try and have as much, and I try and urge them to dance no matter how bad they are. The band this is, you know, and I get them to be as silly as possible so that people relax.
It also seems like there's a lot of opportunity in these songs for the audience to get involved, whether it's like clapping or singing back or the like little chant parts in the music.
Yeah, well, this is it, like something I realised, and so an artist that I fell in love with when I was younger was a guy, Woody Guthrie, and his songs would often be just him and a guitar in the verses, just singing, and then in the chorus, like 4 other, and often it would just be male vocals, would join him, and subconsciously as a listener you're going, oh cool, this is the bit where I can sing along. And so we littered the album with backing vocals, and like just every song has these big group vocals, so that live people know like, oh, it's okay, I can join in now, you know?
Don't Matter Now. That record, I mean, between the horns and the vocals, it's a party.
Yeah, exactly that. And it is throughout, and live as well, you get to accentuate those things. So you can make the horns are even more prominent when we play live. Yeah, I love the album. Not in a kind of, aren't I great? It makes, when we play it live, it makes me feel good.
It's enjoyable for you. And you want that because it's with you forever.
Yeah, man. If I didn't enjoy them, I'd be screwed.
Hey, really quick. I'm no math guy. I'm no stock guy. And then my friend told me about this app called Robinhood, and I checked it out, and it's kind of cool. It's an investing app that lets you pretty easily buy and sell stocks, EFTs, options, and cryptocurrency, and allows you to do it all commission-free. I don't know the first thing about stocks, but I downloaded Robinhood, checked it out, and it's easy to navigate, easy to understand, and you can buy and sell stocks in as simple as like 4 taps on your phone. Seriously, something that seems so complicated, they made so simple. Plus, it's all commission free. I don't really know, but I heard that these brokerage firms, I guess that do stock stuff too, could charge you up to $10 for a single transaction. Robinhood is totally not down for that. If you're currently investing or you're thinking about it, Robinhood, totally worth your time. At least check it out. Plus, they want to give you, my friends, a free stock. They want to make you into Daddy Warbucks. They want to give you a free Apple stock, Ford stock, Sprint stock. If you're interested, sign up right now. ZachSang.Robinhood.com. That is ZachSang.Robinhood.com. Is there a story you're trying to tell with Staying at Tamara's?
I don't think so as such. I think there was more a feeling in my head of I really appreciated the month away just to switch off. The first album was so mad, you know. It just kicked, you know, it did better than I was anticipating it might do. So we were busier than I thought we might be. And so it was just giving the opportunity just to escape a little bit and trying to write songs that kind of soundtrack that, you know. I think that's the narrative.
Bikini Bottom? Was that a risky lyric in your brain at all? Or did it just flow naturally?
No, so I had this lyric for about 2 or 3 years. I wrote bikini bottoms, lager tops. Now back home, I don't know if you have this, but if you order a beer and you order a lager top, it's when they just put a bit of lemonade in the top and it makes your drink a bit, it's like a bit more refreshing in the summer sun, right?
I feel like I could drink a beer if it's like that.
Yeah, man, it's lovely, especially with lager. So you have like a lager top, and sometimes it will be like half-half. That's more like a shandy, but a lager top has a bit of lemonade. It's good. So I wrote this lyric, bikini bottom, lager tops. And I was trying to cram it into so many songs, and Joel was just like, man, can you put that lyric to bed? It's just like, you can't just put it into any old song. And then we were writing Shotgun, and I was like, you know when you have a light bulb moment? I was like, I can use it. And this was like 2 years after first writing it, so we had a laugh about that. But I think it fits.
How proud are you?
So it's not even proud, I'm just so relieved. That was like just keeping me up at night, that lyric.
Why did it fit in the Shotgun?
It's just that atmosphere, I think. I think it suits the image of the song perfectly. I think.
What is that record about? Where did it start for you?
So essentially, I delivered the album, Staying at Tamara's, and the head of my record label, he said, I think you've got one more song in you. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that's when I wrote Shotgun. And I think it kind of, to me, it kind of sums up the feeling of the whole album. Like if someone wasn't able to listen to the whole album and they just had to listen to one song, I think that would be the one to go for, I think.
That's a big statement.
Yeah.
Is that the record you're the most connected with?
I think at the moment it certainly is, because we've been promoting it for a while now because of back home and Australia, Europe. That kind of last year we were promoting it for a good chunk of the year. And you just get into that bubble, of that song.
Hearing it over and over.
Yeah.
What was the story that inspired that song?
Again, I think it was just more the atmosphere of being in Barcelona. I was able to switch off and, I'm the only one of my friends that doesn't actually have a driving license. So that is where I belong, in the shotgun seat.
And only.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but as a result, yeah, I think it just sums up how I felt while I was in Barcelona.
If we were to listen to one song on this album to understand George Ezra at this moment, or over the last 6 months, whatever, what song should we listen to?
I think I'd go with Shotgun, man. I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Only Human.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
Is that a reminder to yourself?
Yeah, it was, I think it's just one of those songs. It came quite naturally, that one, to me and Joel, and we started to write it and it just flowed out. And Joel always has this thing as well where he's like, listen, sometimes a song, when you write it, you won't even know why you've written it at the time, and then in 2 years' time it will make complete sense to you. But I think Only a Human, that is a reminder. Just chill out, George, you're all right.
It hit me.
Yeah.
Dude, I've listened to it a few times.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Every time when it was needed.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
When you're creating a song, does your voice weigh heavily into the production process?
I would think not, but I'm sure. So Cam, who's produced all my stuff, he will be aware that it has to be front and center of whatever we're doing. I think I kind of forget that, and he will be aware of that.
How do you see your voice in the creation process?
It's a good question. I think I love singing. I don't think too much about it. I just love doing it. In the creation, but I don't rely on it to. I don't think to myself, "Oh, you're a voice." Do you know what I mean? I love doing it, but I guess I just use it as an instrument in the studio. It's part of the song.
Because it's very important to never produce too heavy or produce too light, right?
Yeah.
So it's really a beautiful craft and a beautiful balance.
Yeah.
It's really...
it blows my mind. Like, even though I'm involved and I'm in the studio every day that we do the recording of the album, I just... And I always say that a song will sound how it's supposed to sound, because when you get it right, it's like, that's perfect. That's how it should be. But you need patience, man. And you need a patience that I don't have, because it's just... Some days you'll spend 4 hours listening to one snare hit and your eyes go, you're like, oh my God, I can't even remember what it sounded like before. I don't know. And that's why I'm always, it's a bit of an open door in the studio, because I invite people in that haven't been going stir crazy in this room without any natural light to come in and go like, no, that sounds mental. You need to get rid of
fresh ears.
Yeah, exactly.
When did you realize you can sing? Is there a moment?
Not necessarily a moment. I think there was like a period of time where I realised I was singing a lot, and I was probably like 14, 15. Or there was when I was like 13, 14, that's when I realised I could sing, in the sense that I was allowed to sing. That's when I realised, cool, I can sing if I want to.
Like somebody wanted you to sing?
Not so much that. I think I loved it so much, and no one told me to shut up in the house. That was the most amazing thing, was my parents were so patient with me, just belting away in my voice in my room.
Was there ever one person who was like, you have a voice and you should do something here?
I think various people said it along the way, but you kind of don't take them seriously, because it just, to you, it just sounds like your voice,
You don't know.
Yeah, it just sounds like, well, I don't know, it just sounds like me singing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It seems like the album kind of starts on like this high energy, happy, and kind of gets a little sadder towards the end. Would you say that?
Yeah, and so on the first album it was similar as well. Like the first half was definitely lighter, and then the second half wasn't so much sadder, but a bit darker. And then this one is a bit sadder, I guess. I guess I'm just aware. They're just the songs I wrote. I think it's good to have like a balance of the two, and I don't like albums that go from one to the other, like 2 tracks of up and then a song that's down. So it feels good to split it in half.
And it seems like Sugarcoat kind of splits them. It seems like the perfect split between the high energy.
Because it just starts to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Also,
I think exactly it.
Perfect song to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the darkest songs that you've ever put out, in my opinion, it was Spectacular Arrival.
Yeah.
That's off the first album.
Yeah.
Where were you when you wrote that? Where were you at?
Yeah. So actually, geographically, where I was me and Joel go to this cabin in Wales, and it's just this like converted cowshed, and we used to go there on the first album a lot.
Sounds beautiful.
It is beautiful, man. But the issue is we would drink most nights and start to write, and then in the morning we would carry on with what we had written while we were a bit drunk the night before, and we woke up to this demo of Spectacular Arrival, and we just rolled with it. And it was creative, the process of it. It was just fun going into that character, as it were. And it was nice to end the first album on that. It just felt like something that was a bit of a curveball compared to the rest.
Are the 2 albums connected at all? Or are they standalone chapters?
I think they are. I think if you heard one and then the other, it would make sense that it was the same person, you know?
Of course.
You know? I don't... And I think they are connected in that I'm a similar age still, and although I'm busier now, I feel like the same person. It's kind of like just an extension of. And
I understand that.
Yeah.
How do you remain the same person? Because Budapest, I mean, that changes your life.
Yeah, it does, but you're too busy to notice it. Because it's like, I think there's this image that people like to imagine it's like, that you're living this high life. You're too busy to do that, you know. You don't get weekends and stuff. You're just on the road and you're on the move. And that's not a bad thing. It's brilliant. What it means is that there's more people at the gigs. There's actually people at the gigs. That's the main thing. Yeah. I don't know. It just didn't really... It wasn't something I had to worry about.
But a lot of people can get lost in that. Would you credit your diaries for kind of staying present?
No, not so much the diaries. I think it's more the like company you keep. You know, I'm still friends with the same people, and they support me, and they congratulate me when things are going well, but they don't really care that much. They're just like, yeah, cool, you know.
But that's what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it just meant that, you know, when I go home, it's not like a big fanfare. People are just like, all right, mate.
Yeah, good job again.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want people sucking on your toes.
Exactly. Never. I don't want anyone sucking on my toes.
You know, one of the things my dad is very proud of is hearing you for the first time on WFUV, a radio station in New York. It's one of like the first big indie stations. Okay. And they took your record on, I mean, right when Budapest hit for the first time ever. I mean, there is something about your music and your voice that is kind of like a genre into itself. Do you look at it like that?
I do. It's hard to say that because there'll be some people that are just like, well, it's just pop music, and there'll be some people that go like, well, it's to me, I like to think that if there's a tightrope, I'm bang on the middle of this tightrope, and if I write a song that's too far one way, then I fall into the pop world, and if I write a song that's too far the other way, it's too obscure, if that makes sense.
I get it.
And I like where I am. Some people would disagree with me, I'm sure, but I like to think that. And I think that I didn't realise how quirky the first album was until I listened back to it kind of last year, and I was like, this is a weird sounding album. You know, there's like weird noises on this album.
No song is the same or alike.
Yeah, and when I hear Budapest now, I'm amazed that it did so well. Like, because even though the melody's there and everything, it is an odd sounding song for the world that it lived in, you know?
Do you think it's a timeless record?
I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. We'll have to sit down in like 20 years. We'll get together and we'll see if it's lasted the test of time.
And I think you got a timeless record off of Staying at Tamara's too.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Thank you very much, man.
Dan Zolot?
So there's a couple of songs where you do like weird things with your voice, like lightning.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Like, is that just kind of on the spot, or is that written into it, or how do you decide when you're going to do those weird things with your voice?
So the one thing I was aware about Budapest when I sit back, saying that it sounds like a weird song, is it's full of hooks. And hooks don't necessarily have to be, they're just things that make it stand out. And I see those things as hooks. So, you know, in Shotgun, I could get used to this. People will remember that.
I sing it every time,
exactly.
dude.
And it's because it's like a weird, I'm aware that it's a bit odd, but I'm also aware that it will stay in people's minds.
But
It'll catch someone's attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it come out organically like that, or is that a strategic move?
No, it does come out organically, but then so often I have to rein it in. I do it a lot, and I have to, because otherwise it would be in every song, those little jumps and things, and I have to not, because I find it fun. You know, I find it fun to do.
Keep it fresh for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And also what normally in the studio what we do is every instrument that we put on, we try and make it as hooky as possible until you can't listen to it, because it's just like, and then we rein it in.
Okay.
You know, and then you lessen the bass and you leave bits in. And what I'll do, I'll pick up the electric guitar and all of those like diddle-doo-doo-doo, and all of those kind of little riffs. I cover the song in them, and then we pick the best ones. You know,
so you kind of like build this up, build it up, and then break
take
it back down.
Yeah, I think if I released them when we had everything on it, it would just scare people away. I think.
How did that process come to be?
It's just how I love music. Like I like hooky music, and it just makes sense to me that you would try and make every instrument have as much fun, you know, as possible.
It shines through.
Did you work? Was there like a choir in the studio with you, or is it just like you and like other people in the studio singing along with all these voices, or is it you on top of yourself?
We had one or two choirs come down, and the issue was they sounded too good. You know, they sounded like professional singers. So that's when me and Cam, the producer, we would kind of stand around a microphone. We would sing the backing vocals, and we would do one pass where we sang it as best we could. Then we'd do one pass as shouty as we could, then we'd do another as feminine as we could, then we'd do Elvis Presley impersonations, and then we'd do, you know, and just layer it up until it sounded like a huge gang of people, each with their own character.
Well, you nailed it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, you really did.
What is the highlight to you when it comes to making music? Like, what's your favorite part of the process?
I'm awful, man, because whatever I'm doing, I want to be doing the next thing. So when I'm writing, I want to be recording. When I'm recording, I want to be gigging. Once I'm gigging, I want to be writing again. So I love it all, I think, is the answer. I think I'm just, I'm always on to the next thing.
Hard to stay focused on what's in front of you?
It's more like I like the chase. And then once it's like, so I love, like, before the album's released, I'm like, oh my God. And then it's released, I'm cool. I'm like, okay, cool, let's gig. You know, I'm kind of, I'm over things once they're achieved.
I get it.
Yeah.
It keeps it moving.
Yeah, I think so.
But you took the right amount of time between the first album and the second.
I'd say it was a bit too long.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Do you feel like people kind of like forgot the name George Ezra from Budapest?
Yeah, I think it was more that when you're coming back, you're no longer, it's more like, oh, you're the kid that sang Budapest, instead of it being like it rolling into the next album. So what happened was I had to build it up again and reintroduce myself to everyone, which is fine. It just isn't ideal. It's like, oh, this is like momentum we've lost. But the other thing is you can't rush an album. So if the next one takes as long, if not longer, then that's just the way it is.
Dude, that's it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you've still achieved incredible success with this album.
Yeah.
And maybe if you release it a little bit earlier or sooner,
It might not have happened.
that's it.
That's a good way of thinking, Zach.
That TLC, baby.
Yeah.
It matters. George Ezra. I think we covered a lot here.
We got to talk about the podcast.
Oh my God, yeah, George Ezra and Friends.
The podcast.
What's the hardest part of hosting a podcast?
Finding time where you and your guests are both free. That's the thing, because it's not it's like a side hustle. So, you know, I have to prioritize touring and everything.
And your voice?
And yeah, there is that. And then you'll get a bit of a snag where someone's like, yeah, I'm up for it. And then you start going like, okay, cool, when are you free? And then you're not free when they are. And then you're free and they're not. But outside of that, the whole thing's just a pleasure. It's just amazing. I feel very lucky that I get to do it.
You get some good guests.
Yeah, well, for anyone listening, so I sit down with other musicians for like an hour at a time and just talk about what they do and why they do it. And we've had amazing guests.
How did you get Elton John?
Oh, because, are you kidding? Elton loves to support new talent. You are an incredible new talent. I'm sure you've run into him a ton of times.
No, not
None?
I've
Not at
run
least
into
at
him,
once?
I've run into him like once or twice. I think it's more that. I think he loves music.
So supportive.
Yeah, and he loves to talk about music, you know. I don't want to like belittle his involvement in the podcast at all, but we did it at his, and I was just like, how have you managed this, George? You know, how has this happened?
Yeah.
What have you learned from the conversations you've had with other musicians?
Mainly that no story is the same, you know, nobody's experience is the same. And just the reason I started the podcast was because I remember on the first album I'd be backstage at festivals, and knowing how much energy goes into touring and how tiring it is, I started looking at people who I didn't necessarily like their music, but I was going, but you're working hard, you know, so you must love it enough to do it this much. And then you realise that it's not about, the people that are on top because they work hard. And I guess that's the same with any industry, but it's amazing to see in music, I think.
You get what you give.
Yeah, man.
Elton John did say in the podcast that he wanted to have you, Sam Smith, and Ed Sheeran over for dinner.
Oh.
Has he followed through with that?
He hasn't. He hasn't. So Elton, mate, if you're listening, where's the invite? Come on. I'll bring the potato salad.
What a guest.
Yeah.
Come on. How could you not want him over for dinner? He'll bring potato salad.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you're pretty successul, but sitting down at a table with Sam Smith, Ed Sheeran, and Elton John.
Just imagine the egos. It would be awful.
How do you even get a word in?
Yeah, man. Oh, God, it would be awful.
How do you start that conversation?
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be lovely.
You wouldn't be nervous?
No, I don't think I'd be nervous.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
Not even a shred?
I don't think. Well, I've toured with Sam Smith, which around America, so I've spent some time with him.
You're friends with Ed?
Yeah, Ed was on the podcast as well, which is, you know, that was a brilliant conversation. I'd probably just have a few drinks and sit in the corner and watch it all unfold. You know, keep myself to myself.
Staying at Tamara. It's totally worth your ear. That is George Ezra's album. Please listen to it. You really should. It's a beautiful body of work, man.
Thank you very much.
Really, top to bottom, exquisite. 3 Brit nominations. You should be so proud.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Your parents cool? They proud?
They are. They're just cool. You know, I think they are very proud, but they're not gushy about it. They're just, they congratulate me and then they move on, I guess. You know, they don't dwell on things. They're just like, that's amazing, and then that's cool.
But that's what you want, right?
Absolutely.
Sucking on your toes. You don't want that.
No, especially not your parents.
No. George Ezra, you're a good man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Give it up.
you.
Love.
Thank you, guys.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you did, please subscribe and also check out our podcast. There's a link in the description, and also comment and like and do things. Other interviews are on the screen somewhere, so click them. Thanks for watching.